Hello and welcome, and today this is just a quick little spontaneous opinion video because recently a news article had gone viral, and viral as in the sense Reddit had a lot of opinions upon it, and basically the thesis of the article is Generation Alpha, Generation Z, and also the millennials are cutting back on buying video games, like really cutting back. And to me, this is completely obvious and something that had happened like a long time ago. And I want to elaborate on the reasons why this basically is the case. First and foremost, Gen Z and Gen Alpha and also the millennials, they are all broke. Like 50 years ago, where the production was way lower, where you didn't have like the newest computer technique, you don't had the newest and best production methods, you could still afford a house, you could still afford a car, you could still afford a middle-class lifestyle with just basic education, without going into debt for studying, for going to university, and all of this shows the purchasing power has gone way lower if Gen Z, Gen Alpha and the millennials are concerned. You simply can't afford these products. And also I partially blame AI for this. Like back in 2021, like being able to program, being able to code, this was something that could make you a lot of money. And if you as a Gen Z member has seen this, if you have thought to yourself, okay, I'm going to study this where the money is, and now 3 years later nobody's hiring entry-level developers, entry-level coders, because now AI does all of this. And here's the thing, even if AI can't write a single usable line of code, now that most big companies had their layoffs, now that a lot of programmers, of tech guys are unemployed, the companies are in a way better position to negotiate lower entry salaries. And therefore, even if not a single line of code is written by the AI, the big companies are still in a better position. And this translates to a lower wage, and like contrast this with the rising cost of living, the housing crisis, the food pricing crisis, all of the shrinkflation, all of the shittification. Everything is getting more expensive and worse. And games are really no exception. I mean, take a closer look at the most AAA games. They are not original, they still try to chase like Fortnite or do some kind of, what's the 18 plus genre with the video game attached called, I think it was Overwatch, but I'm not too sure. And basically everybody tried to clone a dead game or some games that had a hype like a decade ago, because the development times are just that long and they're completely overproducing it. They are spending way too much money and can't afford to lose can't afford a single bad game that can't meet the sales goals, and therefore therefore there's basically a necessity to basically do the safe and sane and sanitized route, do a remake, do a reboot, do like something along the lines of basically copying an existing game, but changing everything, changing the names, changing the places, so you can't be sued for it for copyright infringement. And basically, you just get the same AAA slop, and you don't want to pay full price for slop. You don't want to have a day one patch of several dozen gigabytes in size. You don't want to have to deal with constant bugs and bug fixes that take ages. You don't want to deal with day one cheaters and all of the other stuff. You don't want to deal with anything of it anymore. You're tired. I mean, back in the day, you would just get like first Age of Empires game. This was Age of Empires, and you just get the base game for the base price. Then several months later, an expansion is rolled out, and you get an additional game on top of the existing game. You get more content. But today you basically have to buy all of the DLCs, you have to buy the $60 season pass on top of the $16 premium AAA game just to get everything that should have been included into the game in the first place. Also, and this is another big point, most games are just the entry point to basically loot boxes, to gambling for kids, essentially. And why should you pay $60 for it if you can just play, I don't know, all of these like anime plot-based games with girls with big plots, and they are freemium, meaning you can get in easily into the game, not into the girls. And then there's a lot of, customization, a lot of loot boxes and gacha mechanics to basically lure you into spending money. But like the entry point is free. And if you have these same kind of microtransactions, even in like, I don't know, Assassin's Creed Shadows, in a game that should be offline and a single player game, but that somehow is online and requires an internet connection, or at least an initial internet activation, and is still filled with like microtransactions, you get tired of this. And another point I want to make is basically there are a lot of really old games that are still good. I mean, Fallout 4 story exists, let's just say that, but the open world in and of itself, it's nice. And many of the other games, like many open world games, have also quite nice open worlds that are meant to be explored over a long period of time, that are specifically designed to keep you in. And now that the games are 5 or 10 years old, you can get them really cheap. Like we're talking 90% off on some Steam sales. And again, you don't have to buy everything at day one. You can just wait. There are no physical copies that can run out of stock. You simply have to wait and to see, and to basically wait that other players beta test the game for you, and then you get the complete game with all DLCs for half the price. So this is another great factor. And finally, there are also many games like, I don't know, Stellaris or Europa Universalis, and you have like this massive amount of playtime for a decent amount of price. Granted, there are a lot of DLCs, like Stellaris still gets DLCs 10 years later, but they are not cut out from the base game, let's just say that. And you also get a lot of sandbox games like Mount & Blade with Fire and Sword, Mount & Blade Warband, Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlords, and of course Eivorion. And then you get also some passion projects, like Bar, Beyond All Reason, which is one of the best real-time strategy games out there. And it's completely free. And I've linked it in the video description, so you simply can just download it and then play it. It's completely free, and you can play it completely offline as well. No permanent internet connection is required. And again, it's free and it's good. It feels somewhat like, Total Annihilation or Age of Empires or Empire Earth, and it's really great. And I think this is just the beginning of a time where I think frustrated and just passionate people will basically do their own games without any loot box mechanics, without blackjack and anime waifus that you have to play gacha games before you get them. And I think all of these factors, games getting worse, games getting more pricey, you have to get used to not owning your own games on your own disc anymore. You have to get used to that companies can completely shut down games that you have purchased, maybe for even the full price, and you can't do anything against it. And you are supposed to get used to all of this. You are supposed to get used to paying more money for way less of the games, packed with microtransactions, with day one DLC. And on the other hand, there are a lot of games that are cheap, that are very, very good, that are completely patched and have all of their DLC unlocked for just $10 or $20. And I think we are heading for a big consolidation of the gaming market. Like not necessarily the indie game market, not necessarily like the A or AA market, but like the big games, the big game studios who are just chasing trends that are, I don't know, 5 or 10 years old. I think they will get eventually punished for their greed. And also, Gen Z, Gen Alpha and the millennials, they are all broke. And like everything gets more expensive by the day, so everybody has less purchasing power for things like gaming, for things like, I don't know, gadget and gizmos and all of the other pleasurable things. They have to concentrate on not getting evicted. They have to concentrate on feeding themselves. And I think in this economic climate, gaming is not a necessity. And increasingly the big cash cows like the triple or quadruple A games, they feel like complete slop. They are AI slop before AI was even a thing. And you can feel it. And with that said, now it's your turn. Let me know your opinion on why Generation Z and why Gen Alpha and the Millennials are yet again killing off another industry down in the comment section. And while you type, I say thank you very much for watching, thanks to all members of my Patreons for supporting this channel, and as usual, I say my special thanks to Ada Daddy Ada, ASK, Bad Guy Ye, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon S, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Din Pep, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feralchivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Le Louche Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Loverazor, Mervek, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, Oh Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pentum, Personage, Ruru, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Q&A Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Sir Axolotl, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rocket Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Sonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.